Hello, YouTube. I am Vince White. I am an employment attorney, and we are answering publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks to answer the need from an employment attorney. If these videos are helpful, please like and subscribe. It does help us to help more people just like you. Even a comment helps, you know? I mean, it's pretty sizable in terms of what it does for our reach, our outreach to folks. Because a lot of people don't know that we do this, I think. We have a question here from YouTube user Taylor Peretti, who asked us about 1 month ago, do people who sexually harass workers usually have a history of doing this, or is this usually a once in a blue moon incident for someone like this? And then there's like an example, and I'll do the example separately, like later on in this video, but I want to answer that first part first. So I'm gonna trigger some folks right now. I kind of think all men have a history of sexual harassment, like present company included. And a lot of it's, I mean, not all sexual harassment is created equal, right? Like a lot of it's unthinking, like, I'll give an example. Egg on my face. Had a coworker many moons ago. We're still tight. We're buddies. We're pals. Sincerely, like, I think we're friends. We message pleasantly, platonic, you know, it's good. Just like commiserating about the industry and, you know, stuff like that. One day, you know, well-dressed human being, really put together. One day, she comes in, some massive heels. And I'm walking in, I got my little coffee. I'm not thinking. I happen to notice, like, whatever, 6-inch heels. And I'm like, oh, somebody's got a date. Oh, 6-inch heels. And she kind of like gives me a look, says nothing. I go to my office. 20 minutes later, I get a message like, hey, I don't really appreciate you commenting on my heels. Like, I think that was inappropriate. I think that was sexual harassment. Obviously, it's not a claim. Like, you weren't hitting on me. You weren't, like, threatening. But it was inappropriate. And you should know better, Vince. And I for a moment, not to her, because she was messaging me, which also says something, like, we were pretty tight, right? And she chose to not have direct conversation with me about this. She chose to message me, in part because men can often be very confrontational, and often that can be uncomfortable to have to face, right? Especially when you're challenging a man's bad behavior, right? So I, in the silence of my office, did the thing that lots of guys do, like, I didn't mean it, right? For about 5 minutes. And then I sit there and I think about it. And, well, let's go over what I did. Heels are generally a signaling device that are tied to sexual attraction and other things. I'm not saying this is not a one-dimensional thing, but also they change the silhouette of the female body, and there's like weird theories that men like them because heels make it harder for like women to get away from men, and like there's all these weird theories of attraction and psychology in our lizard brains. And she had made a choice to wear larger heels. And she probably came to work being like, I wonder if this is professional. This is a bit different for me. She had a reason, I'm sure, why she did that. Or she didn't. Maybe that was just what was in her car, and she came to work in sneakers and she threw them on. I don't know. It's not my business, right? And she comes in, maybe uncomfortable in those heels, or maybe just generally not wanting to be objectified. And I didn't make a comment about her body, but I did make a comment about her heels, and her heels impact the shape of her body to some extent, and also are tied up in all these weird attraction things that happen. And I'm sitting there doing the math. I'm like, oh yeah, no, yeah, she's right. I really messed up. So I hadn't responded. I'm sure I left her hanging for 5 minutes while I thought this through and did my little male pout. Meow. Everyone says I'm a bad guy. Yeah, I was a bad guy. So, like, is that a claim that I said that? Probably not. But again, if I behaved like that all the time, I do think that would be a claim. So you could probably make an argument, Taylor Peretti, that I have a history of sexual harassment through just pure stupidity and low social skills. So the easy answer is yes. Everybody's got a history of sexual harassment. I would say, women tend not to as much, triggering people again. Statistically speaking, I just think there's a lot of women who don't engage in sexualized conversations in the workplace for a variety of reasons, like it can be dangerous for them and their careers. But I think a lot of guys do. Sorry, Charles. I know. It's just the data as I see it. All right. But I will also say that, like, there's different degrees of sexual harassment. So, like, there's definitely people who have patterns of attempting to use positions of power to gain sexual gratification. There are absolutely men who have that learned behavior from their life because over the course of their life, they've been able to leverage their power in a workplace setting to get what they want sexually. And those people, because they have learned that, will engage in that behavior routinely because there's always worked before and they've never been punished for it. So that is very common as well, which is just a different level, I think, right? Like one is like, yeah, we're all failing to varying extents. Again, present company included. And like this is going to sound like a cop-out. Perhaps it is. I was going to say we're learning, actively, hopefully, thinking about these things and trying to be better. What good does that really do someone who's trying to get by in her career without being sexualized, right? Like that doesn't, oh, well, Vince is learning. What a consolation, right? Like, who gives a fuck? I'm failing, right? So yeah, there's a tension there, absolutely. Hopefully I answered the first part of that question correct, in its fullness, I guess is the way to say that. I read the second part of your question. You made a video about a female boss who had over 20 years experience who rubbed a male worker's back, put both her hands around his neck for a mistake, and asked him to dance in the workplace, among other things mentioned in the video. So I'll say this. We can take a break from shitting on men for a minute. I will say that I've run into a fair number of defendants who happen to be women who also have learned behaviors, often about using sex or flirtation or intimacy to gain buy-in from their employees or to control their employee. Like it's or even just maybe that's like how this person, not that they were like intimate with their father, but they like were flirting with their father and like had this notion of being like daddy's little girl and I've got daddy wrapped around my finger. And then they go and they're a manager and they manage a bunch of people and they have like learned behaviors about how to interact with men, which involve manipulating the men, often through like being cute and stuff, right? And I definitely have seen female managers and female owners who have repeat behavior and repeat claims against them because they learned those behaviors and they're very effective for them over time because many men are helpless in the face of those behaviors. Oh, my boss is being so nice to me, and it's just I would go to hell and back for her. Like there's a lot of dudes, a lot of dude bros out there who just stars in their eyes, right? And and then as per the example, that you mentioned here, she runs into a gentleman who's like, I don't want to dance with you, and I do not want to flirt with you. I don't want you to. I don't want the back rubs. I don't want the touchy. Like, I want to work hard, and I want to go home, and I want you to not effing touch me, right? And like, to her, based on a lifetime of learned behavior, she's probably like, what's this dude's problem? What a jackass, right? Because the context of her life and everything she's ever known, everything that's ever worked in her interactions with men, now this guy's such a jerk, right? But in reality, that guy's just like, hey, don't touch me. I have bodily autonomy, right? So, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people, men and women, certainly, often statistically more commonly men, but men and women, who have learned behaviors, who engage in repeat sexual harassment. You can see this. There's certain executives who are known sexual harassers who have incredibly expensive insurance policies attached to them because although the company knows they are a repeat offender in terms of sexual harassment, the company also chooses to believe that they are incredibly valuable to the company for a variety of reasons, and they will make the company so much money, so they get a really big, expensive policy from a company they can really count on to pay out, like say perhaps Lloyd's of London, and just hypothetically, if you talk to the company and you talk to the board and you say, how could you do this? They're going to say, oh, no. We got the big policy. So the company wasn't exposed and anybody this person wronged got a big settlement. To which I would say, that doesn't really make people whole. You still expose people to horrible situations, but they don't care because, the bottom line, right? So, yes, there's often a history. There's also, one-offs. There's just people who say, and you hear these in depositions sometimes, I just really thought she was really into me. Okay, so that led you to do the things from the case? Yeah, I thought she would like it. Do I think that guy is a repeat sexual offender? I mean, it's hard to know because his judgment appears to be so far gone that in fact he might routinely make bad calls, such as got him wound up in this case. But maybe not. Maybe this is a one-time thing. Maybe he's largely a social recluse and he developed a deep emotional relationship with a coworker, and then he misread that relationship and made a romantic overture, and that was the basis of a case. And that was the only time in his life he might ever do that. Those happen too, but I think a lot of people have a long and sordid history of unconscious sexual harassment. And I think, listen, the younger generations are like, we don't do that. Huh? I know there's some Gen Zers watching this video oh, not me. Bullshit. Bullshit. No, you're failing in different ways. Perhaps you're failing in smaller ways, which would make me really happy. But no, you're still failing. There's no question. You're failing. You're doing things that you shouldn't be doing to your coworkers. Get mad. Doesn't matter. You still are. Taylor Peretti, please let me know if I answered your question. I don't fully know if I did, but I hope I did. And if I didn't, let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to do better for you. Sincerely. Like and subscribe. It helps me to help more people just like you.